Yeah.
He said it's gonna be
And I'll work with them. Nothing nice.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order for Sebring City Council on Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. If you all stand, the mayor's going to lead us in the prayer and the pledge.
Please bow with me. Lord, thank you once again for the wonderful city that we live in. Thank you for all that you provide for us on a daily basis. We ask that you watch over all our staff as they move our city forward. We ask you watch over our first responders as they protect us on a daily basis. We look for you to guide us in our lives. We look for you to hopefully guide the rest of the world in their life and make peace a common thing. We ask that all we do in your name, Jesus Christ. Amen. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Ms. Haley, can you call the roll, please?
Mayor Shute.
Here.
Carlisle.
Here.
Haverty.
Here.
Mendel.
Here.
Stewart.
Here.
Bishop.
Here. If anyone has any business from the audience that is not on the agenda, you can fill out one of the forms here on the front table, hand it in to Clerk Haley, and we'll get to it at the appropriate time. All right, first up is the mayor's report.
Short report. I was able to attend the Juneteenth event that Ada McGowan put on, and had a good little crowd early, and it's supposed to have been more in the later, but it was really kind of interesting because they had two young ladies, a 6-year-old and a 13-year-old, give a little speech about what Juneteenth was, and they were both pretty good. So I was really impressed with the little 6-year-old. She did a good job. So, and the 13-year-old, she won last year's event, same thing. So, but the only other thing I have is on Friday night from 4 to 10 is a small business organizations having their spring fling, or what do they call that?
Summer
The
Jubilee.
Summer
Jubilee.
Jubilee from 4 to 10 on the Circle. So Friday night. That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Carlisle.
No report.
Ms. Mendel.
Good evening. So glad to be here. So glad you're here. I know the weekend before this past weekend, I went to 2 prayer times on our Sebring City Circle, Friday night and a Sunday night, and both of them were a blessing. And we gathered to pray for our city, for our government, and it was just so wonderful to be in America and have that freedom to go. And then also, I'm probably jumping in on Harrison, but I went to the dedication of the new fire engine, and that was so fun. My son is a fireman paramedic in Salem, Oregon, and so the fire family is very dear to my heart, but I'd never been to dedication. But it's a wash down and a push in, which that sounds kind of odd. But in the old days when they had horses pulling the fire wagon, they had to unhitch the horses and back the fire wagon into to the station. So it's kind of a traditional thing. And it was just wonderful, a great turnout. And it was just wonderful to be part of that, to take a rag and wash it down, sort of pretend. And then they backed it in, pretend somebody drove it back. That was very cool. And you know, the fire family, they are so important to us, and the first responders. And I heard from some of them that I think Friday before last at the pickleball court, Charlie Brown, I believe, they had a man enjoy a game of pickleball and then have a heart attack probably, but was without the intervention of our first responders, he would have not made it. And so we're so grateful to them.
Thank you. Josh.
It wasn't one of you guys at the pickleball court, was it? Okay. So the only thing to report I had is attended a planning and zoning meeting last Tuesday, which was riveting as always, and we'll have some stuff on our agenda from that tonight. But they did a good job, and some good stuff happened for the city. That's it.
Harrison.
Terry, I think you said that very well, so no report.
Yeah, Harrison was there. He's the liaison. He's doing a great job there with our fire.
Don't forget about Leonard.
What? I asked him.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't have anything.
No.
He
I
stole
was
his
just
thunder,
gonna-
I guess.
I just thought about, I don't know how many people here realize how much we're watched on YouTube. A lot of people watch us on YouTube.
Watch this.
Yes.
Oh, well, hello.
Yeah, there's people from other countries that watch us.
Oh,
Really.
God bless America.
Um,
That's good to know.
Thank you, everyone. The only thing I have to add is just a couple of hours ago, I went and rode the golf course with Fred Tucker, and it is above and beyond what it was 6 months ago. No sprigging yet. They pulled the tarps off of the greens today. He was covered in sand whenever I got there, but which means they will probably sprig next week or the week after. 9 days it has to breathe before you can put sprigs in. So the fairways are in incredible condition. It's going to be very, very nice. So that's all I have. All right. Next up is the consent agenda. Any questions on anything to do with the consent agenda?
I make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as proposed.
I second it.
All right. Ms. Haley?
Carlisle.
Yes.
Hayden.
Yes.
Mendel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. All right. No old business. Moving on to new business. Item 10A. We have public hearing and ordinance number 1528. I will open the public hearing and hand it off to Mr. Swain.
Ordinance number 1528 is on your agenda this evening for first reading. It's entitled An Ordinance of the City of Sebring, Florida, changing the zoning classification, specifically amending the zoning classification for one parcel totaling approximately 0.72 acres and located at 442 South Eucalyptus Street with its parcel number in Sebring from mixed-use quality development to public, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Brenda Torres.
Yes. So again, for the record, I'm Brenda Torres with the Central Florida Regional Planning Council, and we here have a application from the City of Sebring to change a parcel from mixed-use quality development district to public. The subject parcel is located at 442 South Eucalyptus Street. It is made of 7.72 acres. And the owner is the Florida Medal of Honor Memorial, Inc. Okay, next slide. Currently, the property is under construction for a memorial that honors the Florida Medal of Honor recipients, and the surrounding area is a public C1 as well as mixed-use district. Properties include county-owned facilities and an office building. We do have some renderings here of what the memorial is anticipated to look like. Next slide. That's the building. And then some more images of the memorial. And then there's one of like the construction that's currently going on right now. The future land use of the parcel is downtown mixed use redevelopment, which allows for a mix of residential, retail, commercial, medical offices, public, recreational, institutional development, and may allow up to densities of up to 40 units per acre. And that would be against upon a review of the approval of the Community Redevelopment Agency and the City of Sebring Council. Current zoning is mixed-use quality redevelopment district. Mixed-use quality redevelopment permits anything within the R3 district as well as professional offices, including clinics, hospitals, restaurants, cafes, retail stores, and accessory buildings, including signs, and located within the same lot. So here we have the zoning map, which shows the request of public and its compatibility to the surrounding area. Public allows for public is basically your land owned by city, state, or local federal government. as well as Sebring Firemen, Inc., Highlands County Fair Association, including but not limited to offices, jails, parks, schools, playgrounds, recreational areas, fairgrounds, ball fields, auditoriums, right-of-ways, and utilities. We did a public facility services analysis. The project includes connection to city water and wastewater system. Regarding solid waste, the city serves the existing property and has capacity to provide further service as needed. Regarding transportation, the site is serviced by an existing surrounding transportation system. The project is non-residential, so there's no impact to public schools. And regarding recreation and open space, the project is non-residential, so there is no impact to recreation or open space further. The site can serve as a recreational amenity for the city. So again, here we have our zoning maps of what currently is there and what is being proposed. The Planning and Zoning Board did meet on June 11th, and they did recommend a recommendation of approval to the City Council. At this time, I stand to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. The purpose of the public hearing is to get input or questions from the public. Does anyone have any questions or comments? No? I'll close the public hearing.
Wait, oh, sorry. I had some questions, but
We're getting there.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
At this time, I'll entertain any questions or comments from council.
I was just wondering, I haven't been over there with anybody in a while, but I appreciate the homage to the Girl Scout house. And also, you know, every time I've been over there for any kind of an event, you know, the kickoff and the different things, there was an issue with parking. And is there kind of a designated area for parking, or what are you thinking about the parking?
Scott, do you know anything
There are
about
some specific parking spots you'll see on the far side, that rendering you just passed. Is there 7 or something like that?
So, if my memory serves correctly, I think there's an interlocal agreement between the county and,
To the back of it.
yeah, Florida Honor Group for parking.
You can see a little bit of parking in the back at the top,
And is
that
it-
gray area.
You know, I've been parking over at the county building too,
That's parking.
yeah,
That's all public parking.
yeah. But nothing on the street.
Not
No.
being proposed as far as the site plan now.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve ordinance number 1528 on first reading as presented.
Second.
Ms. Egley?
Collette,
Yes.
Capel.
Yes.
Mendel,
Yes,
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. All right, next up is item 10B, another public hearing. At this time, I will open the public hearing and hand it off to Mr. Swain.
So this is a public hearing to consider a conditional use permit for a 440 square foot accessory dwelling unit at 1000 Grand Avenue. You have in your agenda materials a resolution 2024-11. If you wish to approve it, you would adopt this resolution, which would allow it to serve as a conditional use on that property.
All right,
Again, for the record, I'm Brenda Torres with the Central Florida Regional Planning Council. We have here today a request for a conditional use permit for the development of accessory dwelling unit as an accessory to a single-family dwelling. The owner wants to use it as a man cave in accessory to the single-family home. The subject property is located at 1000 Grande Avenue with a parcel size of 0.23 acres. So the property is currently vacant. They are going to be building a single-family home in addition to with the accessory dwelling unit. So the property will include a 1,980 square foot home and a 100 square foot detached shed, as well as the request of a 440 square foot accessory dwelling unit in the rear yard. Current future land use is high density residential with current zoning is R4. They provided a site plan that shows the proposed single-family residence, as well as the man cave that is highlighted in red, and then the shed in the rear yard. They also provided construction plans for the home and the accessory guest dwelling unit, just to show that they are going to be compatible in design and structure. And then they provided a floor plan for both the single family home as well as the accessory guest dwelling unit. Okay. And then we do have additional standards for approval regarding this conditional use. So the requirement is that the gross floor area of the accessory guest dwelling unit shall not exceed 50% of the principal building floor area, and that the building footprint of the accessory guest dwelling unit shall not exceed 40% of the building footprint of the principal dwelling. Highlighted, you can see that the accessory guest dwelling unit is 440 square feet, which is less than 50% of the proposed principal building, as well as that the principal structure is 1980 square feet, and therefore the 440 square foot accessory dwelling unit does not exceed the 40% of the principal structure. So that meets both of those requirements. Regarding size, accessory dwelling unit shall not exceed 800 square feet of in the R1A and R1 zoning district. There isn't a size requirement for R4, but it does meet that minimum 800, not to exceed the 800 square feet that applies to the lower density zoning districts. Regarding building and design, again, like stated and shown in the plans, the exterior elevation sheet of the site plan does show that the structures will be of similar material and design and style for appearance. Regarding height, the site plan does show that the structure has a total of 12 feet, 8 inches, and the maximum allowed in that current zoning is 35 feet, so they also meet that requirement. Regarding exterior stairway, no exterior stairway for the second floor is permitted at the front of the building. This is a single story structure, so it meets that requirement. Regarding parking, they are required to have designated parking established for both the home and the accessory dwelling unit. The city code does require 1 parking space for the principal residence and 1 for the guest accessory dwelling unit. The current driveway does have capacity for 2 vehicles. Regarding utilities, utility connection is required prior to certificate of occupancy, and it shall be connected to central water and sewer system. We do have a recommended condition of approval for this resolution, and that is to provide an affidavit and covenant consistent with the requirements of section 26 to 21 of the code prior to issuance of certificate of occupancy. This is just to make know that they can't rent this out or use it as a business. That is just for personal use. So on the June 11th planning and zoning meeting, they did move forward to recommend a recommendation of approval to the city council for this item. Again, I stand to answer any questions from you or the public.
The purpose of the public hearing is to receive any public comment or input. Does anybody have any questions or comments at this time? Nope. Close the public hearing. Any questions or comments from council?
Looks good. I'm all for it. Meets all of our conditions.
All right. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve resolution number 2024-11 as presented.
Second.
I second.
Saley.
Carl,
Yes?
Avery.
Yes.
Randall,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Fisher.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Brenda. Next up is item 10C. We have a proposed amendment, number 3, to interlocal agreement between the city of Sebring and the Highlands County for maintenance of the Sebring Parkway. Here from Highlands County is Miss Melody Culpepper. She's going to tell us why we owe them some more money.
Good evening. Again, Melanie Culpepper, Highlands County Transportation Project Manager. I'm here to ask the city to amend the current interlocal agreement for sharing the maintenance costs of the parkway. The current limits of the parkway included in the interlocal start at Avalon Road on the north end and terminate at US 27 South by the Highlands Regional Medical Center. The county requests that the limits be extended to include US 27 North by Advance Auto Parts and Publix to Avalon Road to the east. There are several parcels within the city limits of this portion of the parkway, as shown in your map, that have been fully maintained by the county since they were annexed. So if you look at the map that we attached, there's the blue. So when we created this map, just FYI, this is just a funny thing. We have the cities outlined in Avon Park is red, the city of Sebring is blue, and then Lake Placid is green for the Green Dragons, the Blue Streaks, and the Red Devils. So
Thank you for that.
if you know, you know. So from Avalon Road to 27, you see there's several parcels that are in blue that have been being maintained fully by the county that are in the city. The other portion, we anticipate that you all might eventually annex the rest of the road into the city. I mean, we can't guarantee that, but we do anticipate it. The county has gotten some grants to resurface the whole Parkway Phase 1 from 27 to North Ridgewood Drive. And part of that, we hope to do some improvements to the sewer drains that are on that portion of the parkway. I don't know about yourselves, but I personally don't drive on the right side of the road going down that portion of the parkway because it's just so horrible with the sewer drains. So the county just asked that we amend the interlocal to include that portion. So because if also it would be very difficult to, the section of the grant that we got was from 27 to Scenic Highway, and if it's not to Avalon, so it would be very difficult to be like, okay, this portion is the county's from here to Avalon, and then 25% is the city's from Avalon to Scenic Highway, and 25 is the county from Avalon to Scenic Highway. So it would just be a logistical nightmare, but also like I said, we do hope to improve the city's sewer drains on that portion of the parkway. In addition, we would like to request that the county have the ability to invoice the city quarterly as opposed to semi-annually, which is what we are doing now. And I'm here for any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
Does that grant cover the whole resurfacing?
It does. It covers we actually have 3 grants. We have 3 sections. So we're going to go from US 27 to Scenic, from Scenic to the roundabout, and then from the roundabout to North Ridgewood.
That's a completely resurfacing, not just patch and repair.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, and it's probably going to be reconstruction.
You wanna
Richard
come up?
Ogevoke.
I'm sorry, with me this evening is Richard Ogevoke, the project manager for the Parkway.
Yeah. Also, some reconstruction on the segment that Melanie's talking about, because also along that segment is a house, McCohen's. They have about a 13 or 14-year history that they are claiming that vibrations from sewer in the roadway are damaging their house. And so we're doing an investigation into that because there is visible cracking and stuff like that on their house, and none to the neighbors on it. Well, there is that lot's vacant to the west of them, and there's not really any visible cracking to the magnitude on the house further to the east of there.
Is the same builder as both houses, or?
I don't know. They were there before the parkway. When the parkway happened, I believe when it finally got connected to go from south by the hospital all the way around to, the sharp 90-degree curve that got taken out. Then the traffic went up. They say they've been feeling the vibration since about 2006. They've been in contact with the city from about 2006 till I got assigned to them, and I'm trying to shepherd them through reconstructing and what we can do to help them with the money that we have. So those issues too, but that's the most needy section of road, is basically from Scenic Highway coming into 27. It's the oldest segment.
Why would their house feel vibration when nobody else is.
Everybody feels vibration, and when you live by a road, depending, you can feel vibrations. That's just the nature of, heavy trucks and everything else going on the road. Their house is experiencing more damage than the other houses. Whether it's settlement, we don't know, but they have been actively pursuing some kind of remedial action with the city and the county since about 2011.
How old is the house?
Like I said, it was pre-Parkway, so I've got to say it was built before 2000. So I'm helping, and I'm project manager on all three projects. The other two projects are fairly straightforward. We're going to see if we can get some help on the corner at Ridgewood and the Parkway, I think it's the Family Dollar. Semi's kind of been tearing up that corner just because they can't navigate it. But again, that's additional money. The state's pretty tight on cash, and so we're just trying to make the best use of every dollar we can get.
Okay. Thank you.
So to add to that, when he said this, the state's pretty tight on cash, because people are going to electronic vehicles, you're losing some of your gas tax revenue. So, the grant funds are going down, and then our funds for gas tax are going down as well. Just FYI. It's just good information to have.
All right. Any other questions?
You said a grant covered the entire resurfacing project. I thought
It's 50%, so the county and the city have to pay 50%, and then the grant pays 50%.
So the city will be responsible for 25.
25, right.
Right. Before we entered this interlocal agreement, I think I read the way it worked at the county's meeting, we were on the hook for 1.4 million of that approximately. That's before we accept this interlocal agreement, just the part that we're already on. Correct?
So they've given us a number, and let me see if I can pull that number.
We are
I
taking
think
on
that's
more maintenance
total.
obligation
So
with
it's
this,
1 point-
if you agree to this, than we would otherwise have.
Right.
1.426 million
Is the total.
or 1.427 million roughly is what the city share would
Right.
be of the $5.7 million.
Right. Prior to amending this interlocal agreement.
No,
no.
that's the total
That's
for
gonna be
all
the total.
three segments.
Okay.
So this really pertains, I'm going to say, to general maintenance of the parkway.
Right.
So from this point forward, we allocate money,
Mhm.
actually two pools of money, if you will. We have some that we reimburse the county on a yearly basis for maintenance. And then we have an escrow account where we're escrowing for this very item, which is pretty much, resurfacing the roadway or whatever needs to be done, every, I'm going to say 15 to 20 years.
Okay.
And they provide those numbers to us as well. So we have money escrowed. We may have to come out of pocket a little bit of money, but it's less than, it's another 80,000. Yeah, it's less than 100,000.
Okay.
And what'll happen is, I don't think that we would get all of that money up front. So, you could be putting money in escrow that eventually when we bill you, you might have the money in escrow back for that 80,000. Because we're not going to be doing all the work tomorrow, so.
Right. I know it has to be done by 2029.
Right.
We bill quarterly to the DOT, so that just puts us on the same cycle as billing for them for this project.
Okay.
Did you figure out the problem with the palm tree roots roughing up the road?
That has not been brought to my attention.
Remember where they?
I think it's already been solved, so.
Yeah.
That
It
was
wasn't
an
the
issue-
roots.
That was an issue
It
we
was
were
a bad
having.
roadway.
Is that what it was? Well, they were saying it was the roots to start with.
Well, and
But there were no palm trees by some of it, so.
we drove sheep panels, if you will, into the ground on each side of the palm trees to help prevent those roots from extending out into the roadway. So that was the solution that was come up with at the time, and it seems to have worked, because we don't see any further deterioration so far.
Anything else? entertain a motion.
Make a motion, we approve amendment number 3 for maintenance of the Sebring Parkway as presented.
Second.
Ms. Haley?
Carl,
Yes.
Haverly,
Yes.
Mendel,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes.
Thank
Thank
you.
you both.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Next up is item 10D. Miss Julie Fowler with, I guess it's called CLA now, is going to present us with our audited financials. First up is Miss.
That's correct. I just
Okay.
wanted to report that I'm happy to report that our financial statements are completed and we should be receiving them to distribute to council within the next, they'll be printed tomorrow. So the report is timely this year, and then I'm going to turn it over to Julie to present the PowerPoint.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Julie Fowler with CLA, and I'm excited to be here tonight, much earlier than we did this last year, to review the results of your audit. So as soon as we have the PowerPoint going, we'll get started. So I'll go ahead and go over the disclaimer. The information I'm presenting tonight is very summarized from the financial statements that you'll be receiving. So when you make financial decisions, of course, we recommend that you look at the entire document, not just the summarized slides that you're looking at tonight. So if you want to go forward to that agenda slide, this is what I plan to cover. First of all, just what the scope of our audit was this year, followed by what our opinions were on the services that we provided, then some financial statement highlights, followed by some emerging issues to think about for next year. So next up, the scope of our audit included an audit of the city's financial statements to determine if they were prepared in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles. As part of that audit, under government auditing standards, we're required to look at the city's internal control as it relates to financial reporting and identify any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in the internal control structure and report those to you. And then we also provide a report to you as the City Council. You'll be receiving that, and it talks about how the course of the audit went. So here's a summary of the reports that we have issued. First of all, on the financial statements, it's an unmodified opinion, which means we believe they are prepared in accordance with the applicable financial framework. So it's a clean audit opinion. We also perform an examination of your compliance with Florida statutes for investment of public funds, and in our opinion, you are in compliance with that statute. As to the internal control report, there were no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies that we identified this year, so that's really great news. Your staff has done an excellent job of implementing some additional procedures. Things we talked about during last year's audit have been implemented, so those were great to see. And then in the management letter, we did not have any findings that needed to be reported under rules of the Auditor General. As I mentioned, we will issue that report to you. We call it our governance communication. The most important item that's in this letter is this year you are required to adopt a new accounting standard on cloud-based computing, how those items get recorded. And so the city has implemented that. It did not have any significant impact on the financial statements, but it was a change from the way things were done in the past. We didn't have any difficulties during the audit. Everything went very smoothly this year. And we also disclosed to you what the estimates are in the financial statements, just so you're aware that those are things that we are relying on specialists to determine. Okay, so let's look at some financial statement trends and highlights. So first up, we have the general fund, and this is a 5-year trend, and it shows what has happened with the revenue and expenses over that period of time. So that kind of orange bar is the revenue, and you'll notice last year you hit a high in the general fund of about $15.3 million, and that was largely because of the American Rescue Plan Act dollars that were received last year. So we expected revenue to go down a little bit, and it did. But the good news was it didn't go down as much as we expected, because you did have some additional increases in your taxes, utility, like electric franchise fees, things of that nature. So overall, the revenue in the general fund came in at just under $15 million. Expenditures did go up a little bit. That's largely due to, budget increases. The cost of doing business continues to go up, and so we see that in those numbers. So overall, the fund balance in the general fund on the next slide ended the year at $11.6 million. And in government, we break that into different categories based on how you can spend it. So of this amount, you have about $840,000, which is in that blue bar, which is restricted, and that is for the fire truck that you will be taking delivery of in fiscal year 24. You also have some that's assigned for next year's spending, about $2.5 million, and that left you with $8.3 million of unassigned fund balance at the end of the year. So on the next slide, when we look at your fund balance reserve policy, the city has a policy that you're going to maintain at least 3 months of your expenditures in your unassigned fund balance. So that yellow bar is what you would need to have that minimum, and then the blue section of the bar represents how much you have in excess. So you can see that right now you are well in excess of that minimum. The general fund is in a very healthy financial position at the end of the year. So you have about 61.5% of your general fund expenditures in fund balance. Unassigned fund balance, that does not include the restricted amount. Up next, we have the water and wastewater fund. And you'll notice that top line is the revenue, and that does continue to increase as we expect. You had a rate increase effective December 1st of 2022. Expenses are also increasing for the same reasons as you pay your folks additional salaries. The cost of operating the system continues to go up, but you did have an overall increase in net position of about $3.7 million. The working capital in this fund has almost doubled from where it was at the end of 2022, and that's largely because you paid off that bond that you'd been paying on for many years. So that leaves the fund with a lot of working capital to be able to fund future improvements. So the water fund is in very healthy financial position also. Next, we have the solid waste fund. The solid waste fund did have increases in revenue, but that was largely due to more accounts. There was not a rate change during the fiscal year 23. You did have a rate increase that will go in effect for fiscal year 24 though. You can see that the expenses increased at a faster rate than the revenue did. So overall, this fund had a loss for the year of about $130,000. So it ended the year with ending net position of about $1.7 million. Any questions on the numbers before I go on? Okay. So next up, some emerging issues. The auditing profession is trying to keep up with the changes in the world. So for next year, we'll be adopting some new auditing standards where we take a deeper dive into your internal controls, especially those around IT. So we'll be looking to ensure that the controls that have been designed are actually in effect. So we've already been working with your team to let them know what's coming and feel like they're going to be well prepared for those tests that we'll be doing next year as part of the audit. So that is a summary of the audit. Things went very well this year. We're very thankful for Penny and Jared and the entire staff, all the help they provide us throughout the course of the audit. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions? Anyone from the public? Don, you have anything to add to this conversation? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
The motion would approve the audit financial statement for the fiscal year end of September 30, 2023 as presented.
Second?
Ms. Haley?
Carlisle.
Yes.
Haver.
Yes.
Mendel.
Yes.
Stewart.
Yes.
Bishop.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Julie.
All right, we have no business from the audience. Mr. Swain, you have anything to add?
Nothing further.
Scott, you have anything?
Penny,
Oh, thank you, Penny. And Jared. You're all set?
Yes, sir.
All right. Ms. Haley,
Council needs to approve the payment of bills, please.
So moved.
Second.
pull the board.
Carla,
Yes.
Avery.
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Stu.